Well, I think we all know what Trevor was like as a player. You know, he's very unselfish. He was, you know, quick as lightning. He was one of the best finishers you'll see when he got the opportunity. He was just, you know, a joy to play with, and he was a joy to be around. A lot of people, you know, would have thought because he was the first £1 million player, he might have been a bit of a big head, but he wasn't. He was very humble. He was very quiet. He was, you know, quite reserved, and you know, he was quite a joy to be around.
On my first experience, I played in the team when he made his debut, playing for the third team on Saturday morning down by the river against Notts County third team on Saturday morning. That was Trevor's first game. I played in that game. I was coming back from injury again, and I believe, or I could be wrong here, that Ian Bowyer played the first half and then had to come back to the City ground and be the sub, which is typical of Brian. So yeah, that was where Trevor made his debut. That was a deliberate attempt, I think, to make sure he kept his feet on the ground.
So the first time I met him, actually, it was Martin O'Neill's, I think it's his 60th birthday. He had his part of a restaurant in London there, and it was the first opportunity I had to meet Trevor and his lovely wife Helen, who was such a lovely person as well. And as Gary quite rightly said, alluded to, that he was such a humble guy, wonderful player, and it was a pleasure to watch him play later on for England and for Forest. Yeah, so wonderful player, lovely man, and his wife also.
Yeah, he was not only a great player, he was a great person, and that's I cannot forget it. And I meet him also in Genoa when he plays for Sampdoria, and yeah, he was a great person. I will never forget.
I think I played one of his first games, and he'd been told to play down the right because he couldn't play centre forward because they had Birtles and Woodcock up front, and he didn't want to break that partnership, so he played down the right. And he said I don't know where to go. So this is when John Roberts says, you can go anywhere, I'll find you. So that was rubble, you know, from that point of view. But from Trevor's point of view, he did worry a little bit that he couldn't play that position. But then he played in the European Cup final in that position and scores a goal. So the answer is, you know, from Clough's point of view, I've paid the money, you should be able to play football, son. Go out and play. So that's it. And Trevor had to do that.
I can tell you a good story about Trevor. I got this from Graham Souness. So they were at Sampdoria together with him and Graham Souness, and they stayed in a complex, so they actually lived next door to each other. So they used to go to training in the same car as you would do, like, you know, and Graham went to pick him up one morning, and Trevor was standing at the door, like, and his wife was on her knees just behind him, like. And Graham said to Trevor, "Come on, are you ready now?" He said, "Oh, just a minute," he said, "she's just cleaning my shoes." And that was he was hopeless. She looked after Trevor for everything.
Similar to your life, Frank.
No, yeah, absolutely. She even cleaned his shoes, like, you know.
And the thing was as well, the famous thing about Trevor, go and make the lads a cup of tea. You know, the room's still there in the corridor where Trevor had to go in and get this big teapot and make everybody a cup of tea. Everybody thought the gaffer was joking, and I think that was after the game at Nottingham University, because I went to watch that game that he played in. And
did I play well, guys? Did I okay? Did I play well? I was playing in that game.
Oh, were you really? Well, I can't remember, Frank, so you must have made an impression, you really must. But the tea, you know, I don't think he'd ever made a cup of tea in his life, but he went in, there was this biggest teapot you've ever seen, and he had to get everything himself, to put every ingredient in for a cup of tea. But he did it with a smile on his face, and he fitted in brilliantly, you know, because when you're the first of something, you know, Viv was the first black player to play for England, you know, and Trevor was the first £1 million player. It's not easy to take that on board sometimes, I would think. And it was just like it was a normal occurrence, and I think he appreciated the way we treated him, because, you know, it was just one of us. You know, he wasn't a £1 million player. It was, you know, okay, Trev, you're part of us, and that was it. And then, you know, we just integrated well from day one.
I never played with Trevor. I played against him, but
I bet that was a laugh a minute.
Oh, you've got a lot of pace, party.
He's never recovered from that.
if you let me finish. So I got to know him better as a manager when I became a manager and he was managing, and he was a big friend of Howard's. But I remember playing at Ellen Road against Nottingham Forest, and he took me in short and spun, and I swear on the spin I felt a whoosh as he went past me. It was I've never seen anything.
Did he catch him?
Did you get him?
Did he catch him?
Eventually.
2 days later.
So the lads have said he was so quick, he would spin and get down that outside right channel, and when he first came he would just whip the ball across like, and the old fella there hadn't had time to get in the box before. So, you know, he had to learn even though they paid £1 million for him, he had to learn that, you know, it's a team game, and it might look great you spinning that and whipping it across in the box, but you've got to give the rest of the team a bit of time to get in there, you know.
I remember him coming to the club as a 15-year-old because, you know, I was an established player in the team. Then Will and Robbo came when he was 15 from Scotland, you know, and I don't know where he'd borrowed these clothes from. It looked like he'd got them from a cleaning lady, but you know, he was never the smartest dresser, Robbo, was he? You know? But yeah, even those early days, I think you could always see that he had wonderful ability, John. It was just a matter of time before he sort of enhanced that ability and, you know, got played exceptionally well. So yeah, I mean, he turned out to be a wonderful player.
But to be fair, he was a central midfield player, wasn't he?
Actually, yeah.
When the gaffer came, and you know that transformation just shows you how he took everything on board, and then became one of the best wide men you've ever seen.
Yeah, he did. That's quite right, Gary. He did come as a central midfield player. Then it wasn't until Clough sorted him out, was it? He played wide left that he became the player that he did.
You asked Colin and Frank because you know they played on the same side of him. You know, it was so easy. Right, give the ball, Robbo. He'll do something. We were the same up front. Give Robbo the ball. He'll create something out of nothing.
I remember Brian Clough, he said in the room, when he doesn't know what to do with the ball, you give it to John, he knows what to do.
I don't know if this is significant or not, but I signed for Nottingham Forest in 1983, and I was really looking forward to Gary was there and John, and I was looking forward to playing with him. And you might be able to tell me this if it was significant or not, but one day after I signed, he left.
Well, you don't blame him, do you?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It had nothing to do with you.
I still think one of the best lines ever about Robbo was before the Hamburg game when the gaffer was being interviewed. You know, when Manny Couts came up and he said, "We've got a little fat lad, we'll turn him inside out," and he did. You know, he scored the goal, and you know we won the game. You know, that's what the gaffer thought of.
One of your best ever games, guys.
Oh,
if I may say.
Still suffering now.
For me, it came from Switzerland. I was very pleased to be in Nottingham from Switzerland to go to I win 2 times the championship before, no?
European Cup.
European Cup, yeah, 2
yeah.
times. To be in a team like this was great. And the coach was very, very special, but what he did, yeah, it was perfect. If you win 2 times the Champions League and you have players like him, players like everyone. Was a great situation for me.
I spoke to Nigel Clough the other day, and I said, "Well, we're meeting up with Raimondo," and he said, "Oh, me and my dad went across to Switzerland to meet Raimondo's family and you know to sign him." So you know the gaffer actually went across to Switzerland with Nigel to sign this fella. You know, so that just shows. But yeah,
That's great situation.
well, this fella had got a big part to play in me coming to Forest from Long Eaton, because I was playing in a FA Cup qualifier against Burton Albion, and Ian was at the game. We lost 4-0, but apparently
5 it was actually.
I think it was 4, you'll find. And I apparently did okay. And he was at Man United. You know, he recommended me to Man United before I went there. And the gaffer heard about it, and he said, "Nobody's going anywhere till I've seen him." And he came to watch me play for Long Eaton United at Enderby Town, the gaffer, on a match day, and that's where the saying came. He said the half-time Oxo was better than Birtle's performance. That was the first thing he said about me. But I got carried. But I think what impressed him, I got carried off. Centre half went straight through my pad, split my pad, gash right down my knee. but I came back on the second half. So he had a part, and he gave me a month's trial, and that was it.
You never recompensed me for that, have you guys?
No, not at all.
He was a man of his time, I mean, times are different now. He couldn't do the things now that he did then, but his great strength was man management. And that applies no matter what era you're in, He could do things. I can't believe that the first team squad at Nottingham Forest now would take very kindly to be told to run through the nettles for or run up the riverbank to warm up. There wouldn't be going too much on that one. Not a tactical genius by any means. He believed in keeping the game simple. He never asked a player to do something he couldn't do. And as long as you tried your best to do it, he was okay,
When I took first job at Leeds United as academy manager, it was my first job coaching young players, and I didn't know where to start. So I thought back to Nottingham Forest, and this is amazing, but it was like, have good manners, say yes please, no thank you, good morning, no tackling, no pulling shirts, no abusing referees, and that's where I started from. And everybody was like, what's all this? No football. And then I started talking about football. So at least in the academies that I ran, they would come out as decent people at 18, 19 if they were being released, because those standards that were very prevalent at Nottingham Forest and do stand the test of time for me. For some, I signed here when I was 30. Wonderful times, wonderful players, great camaraderie that exists until this very day. Something that was generated within the dressing room at Nottingham Forest. Amazing.
There's a saying: remember who you are, where you are, and who you represent. That's always stuck in my mind. I think that came from the gaffer. It's important you remember who you are as a person, where you are at the football club, and you're representing the football club. And you always try and make the best out of yourself as a person. I think it made people of people who played for him, because you could have gone, down a different path, but because the discipline was there on a day-to-day basis. And Raimondo's just said to me, when he came to the dressing room training, everybody seemed to stand up.
Good morning,
John Robbo, he said he's the most charismatic man I've ever met in my life. This is Robbo saying that. When he came in a room, it's sort of, everybody stopped. And people said that about Princess Diana, is exactly the same. But, that's the sort of character he was. He was just, you couldn't wait to get into training every day because you didn't know what was going to happen from one day to the next. He'd walk you up to the river where the little hut was where you got tea and coffee, and you think he's going to run us in a minute, because we'd probably had one bad game. You get back, he said, right, get your passports in, we're going to Callamallor. We'd be in Callamallor for three days or whatever. And then we'd come back and win 6 on the trot. It was just such a mishmash, but it was a really good mishmash.
When I got a free transfer from Newcastle, and I was struggling a little bit, and Brian had been away in Callamallor, and he got back, and a journalist from the northeast rang him to tell him that I'd got a free. So we agreed to meet at the hotel on the A1. So I set off to drive down to meet him, and my car broke down in the Tyne Tunnel. This was before the days of mobile phones. I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? Somehow I got in touch with my wife, I don't know how, and she rang the hotel and told them I'd be late. And I was about 2 hours late getting there, but he did wait. So I'm walking in the room and I'm thinking, 450 appearances, won a European competition, got promoted, I'm in for a big contract here, So I go walking in the room and he says, before we start, I've got 2 things to say to you. I'm only signing you because A, we haven't got another left back in the club, and B, you're cheap.
Nothing's changed, Frank, has it?
That was my idea of a big contract straight out the window.
We played a testimonial down at Plymouth for one of the Plymouth guys, and we had to drive all the way down there on the bus, and it was a horrendous evening, torrential rain. We got there about half an hour before kick-off, and the pitch was unplayable, but we had to play it. And I think we're 3 or 4 down at half time. He came in and said, right, for every goal you concede in the second half, I think Johnny Metcalf might have been captain that. He said, it's going to cost you 100 quid each. Is that okay, Johnny? Oh, well, it's fine, Gaffer. Johnny, straight away, that's okay. So we conceded one in the second half, so it just cost us all another 100 quid after that. So, yeah. Can't see that happening now, can you? Hey, I've never heard Colin Barrett so quiet, by the way.
You said everything about him. I'm not going to repeat everything. He was just one of these people who got the best out of everybody that played for him. And those that he didn't get along with, he got rid of them pretty quick. Hayes at Hartford, got rid of him straight away. He tried to get rid of Martin O'Neill for about 5 years. Couldn't get rid of him because nobody could play the position that Martin played. But he said, when I first come to the club, he said, you can't play. You can't play. Just give it to somebody who can play. And that was Robbo. He just said, give it to Robbo. Just give it him, he can play. The bloke was just a unique person.
I thought he was really amusing, actually, Colin.
It was
quite funny,
brilliant.
Actually.
It was brilliant.
Well, it was great to be part of it. I mean, it was a wonderful experience. But the atmosphere that has been generated down there for the last 2 or 3 years is incredible. Even if it's European football, it'll be difficult to improve on that. Well, I can't wait for it, really.
Yeah.
Once we find out which competition we're playing in, I'll start to look forward to it then. Should be a great time for it.
Well, I mean, some of the games were fantastic. I think we started off somewhere in East Germany when it was East Germany, and fantastic game against Celtic just before Christmas, where we played. This is a memory. So we went in the morning, and the pitch was frozen, and it was under the main stand. It was rock solid. Then it got slightly softer, then it got rock solid again at the end. And the manager says to us, it's amazing, he said, if we get a 0-0 tonight, there was no question of the game being called off. It would never
it should have been.
It should have been.
So the gaffer was great with referees. He didn't like games being called off.
You know, and that day, when we got there were Scottish Celtic fans up the floodlights, no shirts on, flipping freezing. And we got a 0-0 at home, and they were nippy and all that, so they were probably better than us because they were quite small up front and all that sort of stuff, getting about on the ice and all that. But we sorted it, and of course we went up to Celtic, and it'll take too long to tell you the whole story, but it's just an amazing 3 days. On the Sunday we beat Leicester 3-0 or something, 3-1 at home. We went up to Scotland on the Monday morning. We didn't train till Wednesday morning, and then we're on the 18th hole or something like that at Troon, and then we went to play, and we were 2-0 up in 26 minutes or something, absolutely hammering them. It was amazing. I don't know, 76,000 on the quietest place I've ever played.
But the thing about that, Trev, if you remember right, Albert, the bus driver, the gaffer said, because we drove up, and he said, right, we're going to David Hayes' pub, because David Hayes, the manager of Celtic, had a pub in Glasgow. So we went straight to David Hayes' pub, hoping that he might be there, and he wasn't. So we sat there and had a few pints, and he said to the barman there, he said, son, get me David on the phone, I want a word. And he got him on the phone, and he just said, David, we've had a couple of pints between, well, a lot of drink between us, we're not paying a penny. And that was it. We just went, had a couple of pints each in the pub, and then went to the hotel, and he got David Hay on the phone and told him exactly that. So
I think it, like everywhere, Nottingham Forest were hugely disappointed not to be in Europe at that time, and it was brilliant. We had 16 players then that were, probably, there were no substitutes.
To be fair, I think you're talking about Europe. If you ask any of us, we were lucky enough to win things in that European Cup and everything. We're absolutely delighted that the club are now back in, and because everybody talks about our era, and sometimes you feel a little bit guilty maybe because it's so long ago what happened, and you want the club to progress. and under the owner, it's progressed, and it's progressed to another level now, and that's why it's just great to see them in Europe and take Europe by storm, maybe.
Well, thank you so much all for your time. We really do appreciate that.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.